He often says some good things, but he sometimes says things that just don't make sense.
BEE charters. And some of you won't even know what that means because all you know is that BEE has failed, it's terrible, it's for the elites and so on. There's no analysis about BEE. So let's go back 20 years ago when there was a buzz about change in this country. Right? There was a big question about should international companies also have a BEE shareholding or not?
He sometimes says things that are not so good. This is a terrible idea. What JJ is pushing here is not what South Africa needs because it doesn't work. Indigenization, a process of bringing something under the control or dominance or influence of the people native to that area, that's not what we should do for our economy here in South Africa. And he's been harping on about this for years. It started off with him criticizing how corporates have money in the bank but aren't investing it in the country. He doesn't mention that they perhaps fear BEE, affirmative action and quota system. He doesn't mention that they fear the land reform system where private property is not respected and can be taken away, and it just doesn't apply to land. It can apply to businesses, pension funds, and things of this nature.
And it was a big debate because we were saying some of the international companies were saying no, we don't care, we're not going to come at all to your country to invest should you insist on this so-called BEE.
He always makes it a racial issue as if these companies don't want to invest because there's a black government. Now he's giving a full-throated affirmative to the idea that has sunk many, this indigenization.
Let's face it, the indigenization and empowerment program sounds complex. Community share ownership schemes, employee share ownership scheme, and the National Indigenization and Economic Empowerment Fund. Okay, now let's get rid of all those complex terms and look at the foundations of the policies. Most African countries are rich in mineral resources. The problem is, though, most of this wealth does not benefit Africa. Instead, billions of dollars worth of minerals and other natural resources are pumped out every year, making the companies richer, whilst the owners of the resources remain poor. Africa is the richest continent, its people remain poor. The Indigenization Program is the first African initiative that demands that the people of Africa receive a share of the wealth that comes from their resources. Through the Indigenization Law, foreign-owned companies have to share 51% of their profits with the people of Zimbabwe.
Firstly, it has economic drawbacks. It reduces economic efficiency. It is a protectionist policy, but not using tariffs or something that might help your country. It often shields inefficient local industries from global competition, thereby making them worse, decreasing their productivity and innovation due to a lack of competitive pressure, which ironically results in higher prices for consumers because the local companies don't have that competition. Once they've signed up with someone from that country, they don't have competition from anyone else, so they can charge higher prices while being inefficient.
But let me tell you something. A couple of decades ago, I was part of a company that tried to open factories and technology transfer and a business, the technology business in Kenya. And that business here at home, they were refusing to transform. They had a lot of excuses. When you say that transformation, they say, yeah, but why must we give up, 40% of our company and give it to black people, who didn't work for it? And they were just saying all sorts of disparaging things. Then they go to Kenya, they're trying to expand and then they are told there, no, sorry, you gotta partner with a Kenyan. If you want to do business here, you have to partner with a Kenyan. And they have a word for it. They don't call it BEE there. They call it indigenization.
A few moments later.
Protests like this in Kenya have become frequent. This time, they're speaking out against the rising cost of basic food prices. Many people here say life has become unbearable.
Politicians are using this campaign season to promise that they will fix the economy, but many voters are not convinced They say they are disillusioned and they don't trust their leaders.
Secondly, it limits the capital investment. It reduces foreign direct investment due to restrictive ownership regulations, because not every company wants to just give part of their company to someone they don't know just because they're the right color or have the right passport.
East Africa, where protests are ongoing in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. Medics there say several people have been shot dead by police. Earlier on, protesters broke through police cordons around the parliament and entered the building. Part of the site was then set on fire. There have been several days of demonstrations across the country. This is all against planned tax increases. The legislation to introduce that was being debated in Parliament today.
It limits access to global technology and managerial expertise. It decreases capital inflows, hampering economic modernization. This is an idea that sounds good to some people when they hear it, but the reality is it's not a very good idea at all. It's also deeply unnecessary. If you dare, buy us a coffee. The link is in the description.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
You would rather go fully open and let the economy roar than be limited by some ideological element that will definitely hold you back and has held back many. Third, the technological stagnation sets in. When you follow processes like indigenization, you have limited technology transfer and knowledge exchange. You have slower adaptation to global technology advancements, and you reduce research and development capabilities.
And you either partner with a Kenyan or you ship out. They're not interested in your story. Even if you try to do business here in Lesotho here, they will tell you, oh, linaleba Sotho na kamo business in Luna. It's called indigenization. It's not unique to South Africa. You know, sometimes South Africans have this so-called exceptionalism. You think you are special, and you're not. In any territory in the world, when you go there to do business, there's an expectation, a legitimate one, that you partner with the local partners, right? And you must give up part of the shares of your business in order to do business in that country.
JJ Tabane and others who are promoting this sort of thinking should stop. This is a limiting idea that limits your industries, that kills your businesses and kills your economy.
Major foreign corporations have been leaving South Africa in recent years, which is worrisome for the country's economy. Major corporations have either scaled down their operations or left the nation altogether, including Shell, Rolex, AngloGold Ashanti, Total Energies, and banking giants such as BNP Paribas and Barclays. Why, however, are these once thriving firms now disappearing? Well, many factors contribute to this phenomenon, such as global restructuring, economic instability, and policy uncertainty. These firms' departure highlights a more fundamental issue, which is a diminishing trust in South Africa's ability to offer a secure and lucrative investment environment. For example, in 2020, AngloGold Ashanti relocated its main listing from Johannesburg to New York and its corporate headquarters to the UK, claiming that there were stronger development opportunities overseas. This pattern, which was already concerning, was only becoming worse.
In India, between 1947 and 1991, India had a licensing Raj, which was an authority in charge of their licensing.
What was the industrial scenario during the license Raj era from 1947 to 91?
In order to keep a control, the leaders, thought leaders of those times, felt it right to keep all the controls with them. So, license quota permit Raj was a measure to control that, so that you assess the market, you assess the survivability of how many players can be there, and you issue so many licenses and allot them quotas so that they will produce only so much, so that you have a handle on how the market moves thereafter. But then there were all other ills of the system, like favoritism, nepotism, corruption, monopolies, wrongfully given favors to some few. And because of all these factors, our products remained substandard. They remained below par, not comparable with international standard. Our processes were not efficient enough. Our processes were not competitive enough. Our technology was not competitive enough. We denied our public the premium things, the premium technology, with the argument that we are a poor country, so this is all we can afford.
India, being what it is now technologically, it took that country backwards because of the sort of indigenization rules that were set in place. South America, Latin America had the same idea with their import substitution regime. It created economically unsustainable domestic industries. It generated significant economic distortions. It led to reduced economic competitiveness internationally. This is what you do when you try and force a system that just doesn't work. And of course, who can forget the land redistribution of Zimbabwe, because that was indigenization and they said it as much. What happened? Massive agricultural production collapse, economic destabilization, and significant reduction in export capabilities. They still haven't really recovered, and now they're paying out the farmers an amount of about 3.5 billion American dollars.
Pierce, good to have you on the show. I'm wondering if this agreement is able to be pulled off. It could be a huge turning point, not only in terms of the current president sort of disassociating himself with Robert Mugabe's policies, but sort of heal some very, very deep wounds in the country.
Who chooses which indigenous people get percentages in those companies? Who chooses who gets the licenses and why? Because they've met certain parameters of indigenization. It reduces economic flexibility in your processes because you have to think of this other thing. As Russell Kirk would say, privilege in any society is the reward for duties performed. We should look at our society, South African society, as one that rewards people who have performed their duty, who have done something well, who have been productive and added something to society. We should not be looking to hand out things just because of people's color. I suggest we avoid what JJ is saying in this particular area. This will lead us nowhere. The case is closed. JJ and many others are wrong on this one, and this policy is the policy of the MK, the EFF, and other such backward thinkers, and it will take this country nowhere. As a matter of fact, the conservative thing to do to open up the markets and take out any restrictions based on color and ethnicity. They do not help. That's just not how markets and business works. Thank you for listening. If you dare, buy us a coffee. The link is in the description.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Magwala, cheche, cheche, Hoya Rona, 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 Hoya Rona,
Why are you running? Why are you running?